Hello, friends. In the overarching question about how do we ask our analysts for data and analytics, we come to the point of figuring out what data do we need. Once that we have posed the right questions, we need to bring ourselves and the team to the question of the availability of data. What data do we have available? Do we need to go for external data? Is there people within our organization that has worked with that data before? What were their results? We need to gather that input in order to understand if the analysis that we're going to conduct is going to be successful. We need to assess if the amount of data that we have available is sufficient. And we also need to assess if the data that we have available has all the relevant information. And last but not least, data may have latent issues that are really hard to recognize. Let me give you an example about what I mean by this. In the banking industry, lending data might have different characteristics depending on the date of the issue of the lend. This is important because if you run an analysis with the same initial conditions, you might get different results depending on the data where this lend was issued. So you have to keep in mind if you're running into scenarios where your data has this latency characteristic. Finally, you have to keep in mind that sample size is not the only element that determines the quality of your data. Sometimes you also have to keep in mind the bias in your data. So you have to figure out if there is an implicit tendency within that data that you have collected that might give you results that are not correct.